Hey, what's going on, guys? So this is another video of Dramarama, where we go ahead and try to um, implement drama into the boring parts of one's life in a positive way. I'm not talking about drama where you guys know drama movies, but I'm talking about adding fun, making meaning out of your daily puzzles in your life. So I am here at University Texas. It's quite empty. So if you just kind of like take a look at it, and so essentially we have this table here, and this table, it says try a puzzle. Now the objective here is that you have a puzzle, right? And so we have these puzzles from Edward Berger's book, Making Up Your Own Mind. So this one's called Roommates from Rooter. Now, Roommates from Rooter is a puzzle that I don't have the answer to. And the answer doesn't really matter. What matters is that one can come to the puzzle and approach it through a perspective that, okay, so I have this puzzle, but the puzzle is not necessarily to get an answer. It's rather to apply oneself and put an effort and to use the puzzle as a mental gym. And the key thing is that it's that you as a person can change. So think of it this way. So if I go to the gym, I'm not necessarily saying, oh, I hope I can go ahead and lift 500 pounds. I mean, that would be great if I can, but at what the expense of breaking my back? That should not be the goal. The goal should be that I'm going to go to the gym because I want to become a stronger individual. So the same thing, I'm going to give you a puzzle because you as a person can change. And it's to say that you can become a person that is more creative, more effective, and a more intuitive individual. So, and that's one of the key things that I think is most important. It's that you as a person can change. And there's two things that come into that. I think that your application to the puzzle. So it's like you get handed a silly, stupid puzzle. This puzzle doesn't even matter. It's like, why do you care about this puzzle? Well, because it's a mental workout. So I hand you a puzzle, and after that, you then go ahead and say, all right, so let me go ahead and try to think through it. If you try to solve it, try to get the answer, that's the problem. That you should not try to get the answer. You should try to think through it. And so what naturally happens is that an aha moment occurs, and if you can do this pretty often using ways of effective thinking, and there is a template, it's called The 5 Elements of Effective Thinking by Edward Berger's book. It's just a template. It's not necessarily the thing. What occurs is that you become an individual that is one who can approach things more effectively. It becomes part of you. It's like these elements, these ways of thinking, they become part of who you are. And the more you apply them to the larger puzzles of your life. So it's very fascinating, guys. It's a very fascinating concept. And so I think one of the key things that why I'm here and why I do this is that, number one, it's very exciting for me. But number two, I'm a big believer also in empathy. Empathy is one of the most important parts of Making Up Your Own Mind, the book. And it talks about how group setting is one of the best ways to develop empathy. It's to understand, all right, this person's coming from this perspective, and this person has this perspective on this problem. And, we deal with people all the time. And so that's the second thing. And the third thing is that it's AI. And we'll get to AI. I have a website. I'll post a video on that. But AI is pretty important in terms of understanding the way it works. So. Yeah, sure. So this usually takes a long time, but I'll give you guys one that is a lot shorter because you guys are in a group, and I know how it is getting left in a group. So it's a puzzle, and your objective is to try getting an answer. All right, guys, so you're probably wondering why I said that the objective is to get an answer to this puzzle when the whole thing about making up your own mind and the process that we come in is to think through the puzzle. And so the reason is because these people are in a hurry. And so it's very difficult to get someone to think through a puzzle and to explain that off the bat. But you'll notice that as I'm interacting with them, that essentially I'm not necessarily giving them an answer. I'm merely asking them questions like why, and you'll notice that there's some friction between the first individual, which is Noah, the one on the left hand side, and the one on the right hand side is Cliff. There's friction between how they're looking at the puzzle. And so this is great because it shows different perspectives, and this is a great way for each other to embrace empathy, to understand, well, why do you think that? Okay, why do you think that? The answer is obvious. In some ways, it's obvious once you know the answer, but essentially that's what I'm trying to do, and so that is a great way that I am doing so.
Black.
I do have a YouTube channel, guys. You guys are on my YouTube channel.
All right.
If anything, take a screenshot of it or like a picture if your group is leaving.
Yeah, they're abandoning us.
Oh.
I don't have my phone. I gave it away.
All good?
too. All right.
Is it the black hair?
So, no,
No.
it's not the black hair. It's the red hair.
Oh wait, was the question which one is lying or which one's telling?
So the question here
Oh,
is, given at least one of these students is lying, what color hair does the math major have? So they're lying.
Oh.
They're stating they're majors. So this guy's saying I'm a math. You said both, right? Did I hear that?
No,
Okay.
I was thinking if the red hair is lying, she's the math major. So that means the math major has to have black hair.
One of these two.
Hmm.
But how do you know which one's lying?
But then if
Well,
the
both
math
of them would have to
major
be lying.
is lying,
Ah.
then that means the one with black hair is the philosophy major.
You're looking at me. You're looking at him.
Well, I'm looking for zero.
So that means that the math major has to have the red hair.
Okay.
What do you
So,
think?
I think it's impossible to know who's lying. Given that at least they could both be lying. What if they're both lying?
Well,
Then they're both. I think the math major.
If they're
has red
both
hair 'cause
lying?
They're both lying.
Is that an assertion? So your assertion is that both of them are lying.
Yes.
100%.
No, it's at least one of them's lying.
There you go, catch up.
well, if both are
It's
lying
tricky.
and you have
If they're both lying, then it's
Then-
the philosophy major.
then you have that means that the philosophy major, the red hair is not the philosophy major, so they have to be the math major.
Yes, but
So it just
So-
as long as
we don't know which one's lying. So.
You seem to disagree with that.
well, it just basically if they're lying, then that means that the math major has red hair.
That's
No
right.
matter what they're doing. And then if this one's lying, that they're a math major, then we're good also, because that means that the math major does not have black hair. So the math major has red hair, no matter who's lying, or if both are lying.
What is your perspective on it? Like, what do you think?
Okay, so if at least one is lying, then one is telling the truth, and so we don't know which one's telling the truth.
Okay.
So
Question. Like, I have a question. So if this guy, the guy who says I'm a math major, so we know he has black hair. If
Yeah.
that guy was lying, what would his major be? Because he's saying I'm a math major.
he'd be a philosophy major. We're assuming that
There's only two. At least one of them is lying, right? Yeah, exactly. We're assuming there's only
two majors.
that's in the
Yeah.
beginning.
I guess if both are lying and they just, well, it doesn't matter because we already it's given that one is a math major, one's a philosophy major.
What do you think?
Oh,
So they can't both be lying.
oh.
It's given that one of each.
You got it?
Why are you doing this?
Oh, because
That's what I want to know.
yeah, sure. So
On a hot Saturday.
yeah, I know. I'm from Alaska originally, so
Oh my God.
The heat stresses you out.
I'm melting here. So I do this because I look at a puzzle as like a mental gym.
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about like puzzles, and I'm a software engineer, so we do a lot of puzzles, like software puzzles. And I look at it as like a gym. Now you can come here and you can be like, all right, I got this puzzle here, and you can just try getting the answer. That's why I said it usually takes like 20, 30 minutes. I give you guys a short puzzle. What I usually do is I force people to say, all right, so you got the answer, but what's next? And that sounds illegal to ask, you know, like we're so bound to that there's like a logical answer to this, but it's like, what's next? Can you think through this puzzle deeper? And so that's why, and I look at it as a gym. The point here is that it's just to, you know, foster engagement, and it's great having like everyone have different perspectives. You know?
Yeah, if I went software route, I don't think I'd be good at it because I have a mathematical mind. Like I can draw a conclusion from a lot of premises.
Oh, you'd be really good at
And
it.
like, the intuitive side is like this. You draw a conclusion from a few premises, and I naturally hate that.
Oh, you like just one answer.
I like just
I would like one.
I have a lot of
That's
comprehension.
The question for you: in your life, has anything been so simple as that? Yes or no?
Text me when you guys are finished.
The rest are usually moral questions.
Moral
Okay,
questions.
okay.
Okay. Objective morality. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this video short because we started discussing a variety of different topics. Objective morality was one of them, which is certainly not a topic for this video today. But if there's one thing I want to go ahead and pull out from my discussion with Noah and Cliff, it's empathy. So what I was doing was I was sitting behind the table. You know, I know the answer to the puzzle, and I was merely prompting discussion, provoking discussion. So Noah had his own opinion. Cliff had his own opinion. They all come from different backgrounds, and that's the beauty behind it. You know, everybody, when you approach a puzzle, it's like you come in from a completely different background and you see it differently. And so that's why we must value other people's opinions. We must value and understand where they're coming from. And so that's what I was trying to do today. I was trying to go ahead and say, all right, cool. So I see, Noah, you're disagreeing with Cliff, although you may not necessarily say it directly to Cliff. Why do you think that? You know, and saying the same thing to Cliff. Why do you think that? Why? And so I think today was a quite successful day in terms of like fostering engagement. And this is something I'm deeply passionate about doing. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed this YouTube video. I do have another video coming up, and it's going to be coming up specifically more for AI. And it's going to be regarding the platform that I have built that you guys can go ahead and access. So without further ado, I will see you guys later. And probably the last few sentences I'll probably be saying for my YouTube videos is, welcome to the addiction of creative thinking.